I am a junior biochemistry and molecular biology major. Going to be getting a biology minor and chemistry minor, so it's just the same thing. And I am hoping to go into graduate school at some point in the future. So that is currently where I'm at. Sometimes people will kind of split up the sciences and the arts into two different categories. Personally, I kind of view science as an art in itself. The design of experiments, seeing how things function, seeing how a cell functions along with all of its pathways and seeing how beautiful that is. So that's kind of an art for myself. The arts are necessary too, because you can't just go through life with just science. You got to look at things with a more balanced view in life. That's why we're at a liberal arts college. Yeah, so I think that that deserves its recognition. I think that that deserves its funding as well. It's just hard to find a balance between how much do you allocate, sorry, think of the science term, allocate to the arts and how much you allocate to the sciences. So I think the more language that's spread for the future, more communication that's built up between those two areas, and I guess other areas of STEM, other areas of the arts, that'll really help out in the future so that there is some way to understand what each other are talking about. So, looking at the world, we have done a fantastic job of messing it up. I think a lot of people would say the same, and it's disappointing to see that as a human race. We haven't done a good job of being good stewards over the earth, and so that kind of forces our generation within the next 50, 60 years to really figure out some big problems. Like there's the issue of food production. You know, the population is growing tremendously. Food production is not growing tremendously. That's kind of a personal reason of why I want to go into plant sciences and study photosynthesis and seeing how that can improve food production. So we're going to need a lot of people who are deeply invested into the sciences, who are able to answer these questions, able to address these problems. And I think that will be the future for us millennials, is we have a lot of problems we're going to need to fix. So as it looks right now. And I don't think that is limited only to the sciences. You know, prevention of war, prevention of famine is also a political problem. It's also a social problem. So while I think STEM is going to need to, you know, bump up its efforts, I think every field is going to need to bump up its efforts, because it's not just a scientific problem. So, but there are scientific problems that need to be addressed and will need to be addressed. We see society right now very dichotomized, broken into different factions and things of that nature. There's obviously a lot of tension currently. So I think a lot of the millennials' job is first going to be addressing that tension in some manner and finding ways to decrease the tension, and within our country, but also between countries as well. That's also an issue. And finding ways to, you know, promote that peace that everyone wants, but just everyone disagrees on how to get there. I think it's pretty obvious to anyone looking at the current issues of the day, realizing that the world is clearly broken and it will need a lot of fixing by people in all kinds of areas. I think the millennials are going to need to address new questions, challenging questions on social issues, social rights that may haven't ever been addressed before. Yeah, so personally I think learning how are we going to love those around us, how are we going to learn to treat others with love and with caring, with a caring mindset, so that we don't run into these issues. Just hope that our generation can also yearn to find answers to these questions, yearn to find answers to these problems, and really, I guess, overcome the stereotype of our generation, which is, lazy and kind of ignorant and not willing to put forth some sort of effort to help the world. I hope that stereotype that some people have of us is going to be changed, and they can see that, oh, these people are definitely putting in late hours, and for me, like in the lab, being here until like 1 or 2 in the morning, for other people in the arts, being there and delving into these questions, pursuing these projects, doing what you're doing, and doing this with a relentless mindset and not really taking no for an answer. I think that that is my hope, is that we can become like the great generation in years past, and then maybe not like earning respect of other generations, because that doesn't really matter, but understanding with ourselves that we don't have a stereotype that we have to follow. We aren't going to fall into a stereotype of being lazy, being arrogant, being worthless, or anything like that. That we have worth, and that we are going to be putting the effort that's necessary to accomplish the answers to questions and the accomplishments and other types of problems and things like that. So that is my hope for our generation.